see a heightened level of receptiveness, either by country or by healthcare professional group? Acceptance of the future of AI, it can be helpful, I want to embrace it and move forward with it, versus holding back, I think I'm gonna think about this for 20 years.
Well, there's even an incredible amount of negative stuff on the internet about AI. You know, it's going to take over humans, it's evil, it's you name it. I don't think it's automatically received well anywhere right this second, because it's a wait-and-see proposition for good reason, and it should be. But it's gotten the attention. I'll give you an example. CMS, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, you all heard of that, that's where your money comes from, released this year a $1 million challenge to who can develop the best algorithm to predict outcomes such as readmission and whatnot. That's one example. The United Kingdom just released about $300 million to create a healthcare AI center, is another example. The AMA, a couple of months ago, came out and said, we need to educate our physicians in AI. How are you going to do it? And so there's no question the spotlight is on AI, but we're a ways from it becoming mainstream. But when you look at Siri, Alexa, I mean, Google Lens, there's a long list of things you take for granted. Voice recognition now has gotten really good. And let me say something about that. What if you combine voice recognition with natural language processing?
You could fake somebody's voice.
Well, no, but the point is, so a doctor dictates the 63-year-old type 2 diabetic presents today with, you know, necrotic right great toe. As it's listening, sure, it's creating text in the electronic health record, but it's coding the document. It's an ICD-10 E11.26, and it's making a structured note out of unstructured information. Nuance, or Dragon, is working on that right now. And we saw a demonstration of it this weekend, where you're in a exam room, and as the doctor's talking to the patient, it's being typed, but it's being put in the right section, and it reminds you, you have not ordered a hemoglobin A1C for 6 months. Hey. So the point is, we are moving closer to that, and in fact, Nuance, which is the biggest company, is working with Epic, the biggest EHR vendor there is, to create a digital assistant to do more of just that. Because there's a huge complaint, you know, about all the problems with electronic health records. So we're still in the infancy of AI, and probably in the infancy of EHRs too.
Yeah, Microsoft is funding maternal research, and right now with just what you said, with the device listening, you know, while the doctor's talking to the patient and creating these records on hand. Yeah, so that's why I say a lot of money is being put in all this stuff. But to your question, basically, the deal is right now we're in this innovation economy. So a lot of so we're digitizing stuff, and so traditional methods of doing things we're trying to reduce those costs. And with AI, artificial networks and stuff like that, you can actually reduce your costs. And so startups are disrupting these traditional approaches, and so that's what you have to be afraid of, you know, in any company, any operation. So Baptist Hospital, you have to be competitive with the other hospitals here. So the bottom line is that if Sacred Heart adopts something that's doing patients a lot better than you are, that's what your problem is.
Yeah. So it's been used for things like chart reviews, thinking about a hospital, for instance. That's a pretty not cost-effective to have nurses do chart reviews. You know, it's labor-intensive. So there's good evidence that natural language process will do that for you and review radiology reports for quality and you name it. So I think you'll see that, but again, nowhere in these articles does it give you much technical information and no return on investment. How about FTEs?
AI would not be embraced. We talk about cost being seems to me, to ferret out who needs this test or that test, that AI would be embraced by the medical community. Say, hey, I need that dysmorphism image to know, does this child need a complete genomic sequencing, or do they need a simple karyotype? Or do
Yeah,
they
well, the
need-
BRAC gene is abused,
Oh, yeah.
you know, as just an example, too many BRAC testers do it. So, yeah, physicians will pay attention. I mean, they still prescribe antibiotics for viral bronchitis, so I'm not totally
Well,
confident.
that might be some of the pharmacogenetics push personalized medicine, maybe, you know, they can control that push.
You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope. The doctors hate alerts, and that's one of the concerns that I have with AI. It's just one more, you know, voice out there going, hey, do this or don't do this, and they just hate it. So, but if it'll do all their notes, and they get home an hour earlier, you know, maybe the trade-off is worthwhile. We have to see.
Robin, did you have a question?
I think it's to Jody. In medical schools or in doctoral schools, are they teaching AI in this? So it seems like there's maybe an age gap into, you know, young people are learning this is their computer and they're a little bit more pliable than as we age we are.
That's a
Are
good
they
question.
open more to this than?
They're not,
Is the
only
window-
not, I know the answer,
Okay.
just based on going to conferences.
So I want both of your answers, because I know
Okay.
there's an age difference.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say.
I'm not aware of medical training. I work with a lot of medical students as well. I'm not aware of that evolving yet. And then from the research perspective, the students like me, we are kind of in the weeds. We're trying to figure out what kind of patterns do we pass to our supervised learning. What can we give AI first to start looking for? So we're aware of what's out there, but you're really not being trained in it unless you're a computer science student, you know, or some related field. So I think we have a ways to go, but we'll see what Bob says.
No, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, not only are they not being trained in machine learning or AI, they're not being trained in biostats or math. Now, I think part of my whole position right now is trying to train physicians to be clinical data scientists without advanced math, without programming. Most of the, just so you know, most data scientists program in R or Python, and that's how they get their work done. But I'm going to maintain you can get pretty far down the road without that. But to answer your question, absolutely not. And it's really difficult because I think you'd have to have an engineering degree or a PhD to actually do, so you'd have an MD, PhD, probably to be an effective, all-knowing senior data scientist, so to speak. So they're not getting any exposure. And even in my own alma mater, I tried to go back and teach them some simple informatics stuff. And it was like, our curriculum is packed, you know, thanks but no thanks. So.